Let's talk about the pay-per-view. We're finally here. We're going to be talking about Sacrifice. It went down August 14th. So we just passed the 20-year anniversary for the show. And Meltzer says this show really cemented just how far the company has surpassed WWE in producing good pay-per-view events. So, of course, Meltzer saying the only difference is TNA's pay-per-view quality is the second worst thing possible when it comes to wrestling because it's a largely well-kept secret, meaning, hey, it's great that you've got better pay-per-views than even WWE, but it's not good that no one knows about it. Now, of course, they're hoping that the Spike TV will change all of that. But Meltzer would say this was yet another in what has become a long line of strong shows. You have a strong crew of wrestlers that never give less than 100% and a hot crowd of 800 fans at Universal Studios every month. Let's just stop right there. I know people were negative at different times about studio wrestling. You proved it can work. Fans can be hot. And there's a lot of criticism about guys in the dying days of WCW phoning it in, no showing house shows. They didn't care. So now you've got sort of this underdog spirit. It almost feels a little reminiscent of ECW, where these guys are out here for the love of the game. They're not necessarily the highest paid. They don't have these fat, lucrative contracts. They're just out here trying to kick ass and put on the best show they can. How do you, as the leader, try to help push that locker room and cultivate that sense of having a chip on your shoulder and performing at your best and proving a point? Because it would be really easy for guys to sort of say, well, I'm phoning it in. You're booking young, hungry guys, and it comes through. How do you keep that going week to week, month to month, Jeff?
Hope. I think the one word would be Conrad. I was just sitting here thinking about the progression that we had as an organization. Those first 2 years and getting the ball shot from our financial partners, the Scrooge situation, and hell, the feds investigating. I mean, it was no secret that Jeff and Jerry walked into a brick wall almost day one. It was just like, holy crap. And then we survived that and got on our feet, and it was about survival, I'll call it, during, in a lot of ways. And at the end of the day, it was the WWE. And this just, people can't even, a lot of folks that are listening to this probably really can't even relate that it was the WWE and then nothing else. I mean, independent wrestling was nothing like it is today. It was just a different time, a different place, a different era. And so we really had the little engine that could to just start getting traction. And then, the Fox Sports days, and okay, we're getting some coverage and showing some growth, and our financial footing was a little bit better. And then all of a sudden the Spike days, Conrad, and it's like the motivation of these guys, and God bless all of them, but we all, in a lot of ways, I would say this I still say it today, but I would say it a lot back then. There's nothing better than a competitive locker room. I want the guys to be a bit on edge because they want to go out and really steal the show. No matter where they're at on the show, it's up to the creative team and the booking team and the philosophies and card placement and match placement and everything that goes with that. But how did we do it, Conrad? At the end of the day, is that I wanted to instill in each person, whether it was on camera or off camera, is be the very best you can, because how are you going to further your career? And I still say this over and over. If you don't like the business or bitching about it or what, get out. Just get out, because you're not serving, not the business. Not only you're not serving the business right way, you're not serving yourself. Go find your passion, go find your calling, and not to get into a sermon or a biblical and all this. And that's why I just encourage my kids, anybody else in this, find something that you really want to do and have your passion and go after it. And I think, when I kind of look back on this era, man, Conrad, and we've talked about this, our damn roster, boy,
Loaded,
blessed.
The pre-show match was Apollo and Sonny Siaki beating Mikey Batts and Jarrell Clark. They go 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Crowd's pretty into it. Next up, we got the actual pay-per-view. It's going to be Saban teaming with Sanjay Dutt and Shark Boy to take on Simon Diamond, David Young, and Elix Skipper. It gets 2.5 stars. Saban's going to pin Skipper with a bridging cradle. And in an alternate timeline, I would have loved to have seen what Elix Skipper could have done.
Yep.
Alex Shelley is going to be in here with Shocker in the second match. They go nearly 9 minutes. And Alex Shelley gets the win, 2.5 stars. What's interesting is at this point, I think Alex Shelley's been wrestling for like 3 years. And here he is working with one of the most over guys in Mexico and getting a win on pay-per-view. He probably had less than 300 matches under his belt at this point. I was convinced in 04 that Alex Shelley was going to be a huge star. We know he's now a big deal with WWE and enjoying some tag team success there with Chris Sabin, but he's one of those guys I feel like who picked it up faster than others. Would you agree with that?
No doubt. And, as I was trying to rack my brain, and I don't have a good recollection, but we put Alex over Shocker. Was Shocker on his way out, Conrad? I kind of think at this time. And it's, the New Japan relationship was just beginning to kind of, and I know we covered this in another pod, how the Motors Machine Guns were put together, but Sabin and Shelley were both on this card and both fantastic performers.
Shocker is a guy who, as we said, you would have to convince him to get on the doggone plane. So when you think about it like that, I think I would have put over Alex Shelley as well. But he is going to hang around. He'll be back in 06 as well. But we are certainly starting to wind it down here, and we'll call it the end of the summer 05.
Yeah.
Abyss and Lance Hoyt are going to hook it up. This is designed to focus on Hoyt, even though he's losing. They're going to showcase some really cool stuff, including a Van Terminator, which is hard to imagine, but the crowd goes absolutely bananas to see Lance do that. When a guy that size can do the Van Terminator and it's in a 6-sided ring, it just looks different then, doesn't it?
Hey, I'm looking at the photo, and for folks watching on My World YouTube, we have Abyss, Chris Park, still at a high level, WWE, Andrew Thomas, now the director of Dynamite and Collision every week. And then we have Lance Hoyt, who's still kicking ass in AEW on a weekly basis. But this is a young Lance. And when you see a guy 6'7" jump all the way across the ring, it was one of the things, and I guarantee you that picture we're looking at, that image, everybody in the Impact Zone stood up and have a hell of a chant. It was those ooh and ah moments that we had all the time that kind of was built into the DNA of the brand.
Next up, we've got Conan teaming with Ron Killings to take on Kip James and Monty Brown. They go 7.5 minutes. More of an angle than a match. They're trying to, talk about some dissension here with Kip James and Kip Fry and BG James and Conan, and it's kind of funny. I do want to talk about the next match. It's Christopher Daniels and Austin Aries. These guys have been big time players for Ring of Honor. Now it's going to be a big match on the TNA pay-per-view. It's kind of positioned as almost like an internet dream match. It gets 3 stars, and Christopher Daniels gets the win. I know that, Austin Aries has had an interesting relationship through the years with TNA, but in 2004, I think a lot of people forget this. He was the guy to end Samoa Joe's really crazy long Ring of Honor title run. So the idea that not only did Samoa Joe lose, but he lost to, respectfully, a smaller guy, that was a big deal. And it kind of put him on the map with Ring of Honor fans. And I know that, he has a different way of thinking sometimes. What was your experience like with Austin Aries?
He worked, I'll say off and on, respectfully, but a hell of a talent. And I know that, I'll call it the rep or the narrative. And during this time, I was always like, guys, he's been super professional. Oh, you just wait, Jeff. But he, in my opinion, oozed charisma. And we tried a couple of different things, but I believe more than anything, and he's certainly not the only one, he was a victim of not having enough space on the card. We were so loaded with talent. I think in the specifically in the early days. Later on, hell, he became even champion. But in the early days, just didn't have enough spots on the card for all the talent we had.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama. What could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
That's number 212, non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.